That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah. It's like it's a nice, it's a good. And this was from a series I did called See Here with Ouija when that flood happened a few years ago.
Wooflin.
Like five years ago, there was like the remnants of Ida came through and created a lot of like flooding conditions in Brooklyn. Like
Okay.
basements got flooded and stuff. And
Yeah.
he had these posters that that John Midgley had taken all these photographs. And so he had these for years, he had these big ass posters in his window. And he was like, okay, you take the posters and just do something with them. So I took them, and that's where a lot of this imagery comes from these. And then I took those, I tore them apart, and I collaged them, and then showed all this stuff
That's
with him
beautiful.
at the Brooklyn
You made that
Circus.
frame too?
Yeah, yeah. So it's from this series called See Here, C and then HEAR, and just sort of reflecting on all that I've learned with my relationship with Ouija, and then through the art that he does, and through the art that I do in Convergence. So yeah, so that one's going to the show, going to the benefit, which I'm very excited about. So I'm uploading the image now, or I'll be
Cool.
doing that today.
It's interesting. So we met through Ouija, and he never formally introduced us. I
Yeah.
only read his blog and I saw pictures. And so I reached out independently, and that's how and I remember when I think you were one of the first people that I realized that when you have a creative endeavor and creative projects, you need to be around other creative people. And I remember, I don't know, I like the energy and the style, and I like the color. I was big into collaging back then too, like collaging vision boards and that kind of stuff. And I saw that your collage art was really inspiring. And I don't know, why don't you just tell everybody about like just, how we met and what have you done with us over the past 20 years?
Wow. Well, what I've done more than anything with you over the past 20 years is learn, I mean, and be inspired. Just how we met was, yeah, so I had a studio for years on Nevin Street. Half a block away is this store called the Brooklyn Circus. And the creative director and founder and like the guy behind that, the Brooklyn Circus is Ouija Theodore, who is now I consider one of my closest friends. And I've known him for, I think, over 20 years at this point. And I mean, I guess Ouija knew that I've skated to work every day, so Ouija knows a skater, and I think I don't know how you know Ouija exactly, but he Ouija is one of these guys who puts people together. He's really good at that, and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
loves doing it. And so the way that I met you is I got this phone call, and you said, "My name's Steve. I know Ouija. I do this thing." And basically, I don't remember which year it was, but it was designing and built and fabricating the Stoked Awards.
yeah, yeah.
Um, for that year. And I was a broke artist at that point, and you paid me, which was, I'm getting paid to make something. And then over the years, it got to the point where I was able to like not have to ask for payment but it was always like one of the big, even regardless of anything monetarily transactional, it was always kind of an honor for me to make the awards because I saw you doing what you can and taking that to like such a degree that affected positively so many people that it was like, well, how do I use my powers for good? How can I be part of this? And like you there's this temptation to be like, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do this. And sometimes it's like, no, just do what the person is asking you and do it with all your heart. And so whenever you asked me to make the Stoked Awards, it was just always such a highlight of my year because I would read about the people who are making, who are getting awarded that year and then make these silk screens, these little sculptures. And I don't know, it's one of those things I look back on and just really love that I am grateful that I had the opportunity to do with you over those 20 years.
Yeah, I remember, yeah, he had this blog on Blogspot, and he would always take pictures of his friends that he was collaborating with. And so I was just I was inspired by your work. And I'm not too sure that I knew that you skated, but I was just a big fan of your art. But and it wasn't until we met where you're like, oh, the skating is who I am. It's like it's my core. And I was like, oh, that's even better. The award stuff came about because there were two things. One was I don't know, when you have an organization, it's cool to give people awards. Like it's just cool, right? Like you just celebrate them. And I remember one of the first awards that we gave was to Tony Hawk, and I went to like awards.com and just got this thing. And then like a year later, I got an award for like it was this hometown hero award, and I got it on the Intrepid in the city, and it was a
Oh,
piece
cool.
of the deck,
Wow.
the
Oh, that's so
original
cool.
deck, right?
That's
And
amazing.
and then I was like, man, I was like, all they did was just cut off like a, you know, a one by one piece of this thing, but it means so much. And I was like, I only want to give awards to people that mean stuff. And then that's how we started collaborating, is then I started
Yeah.
sharing the story. And then like all of the awards were just, as I start talking to people and I reconnect with them, like through these podcast series and just wherever, dude, they like, I just talked to somebody the other day and she was like, I got my award. And it's always, the award is always proudly displayed in their house. And it is the cruelest thing ever to just, I don't know, it just makes me really happy to like, you know, to give somebody
Yeah.
something made from somebody that was like that with care and intention. And, you know, we started talking about, you know, technology. And I, you know, at the risk of sounding like a Luddite, because we embrace technology, but like
Absolutely.
how
So many ways. Yeah.
and but the just the notion of real world tangible things and art
Yeah.
and creative self-expression, like, dude, you gave me this thing, this, and I don't this I don't touch it nearly enough. But when it was our 10-year anniversary, so we're at 20, at our 10-year
Yeah.
anniversary, you gave me this, and this is our old logo, and
Yeah.
inside it says "Do not think in here," and I was like, I saw this, I like straight up cried. It was really really beautiful. You also gave me. You also gave me this one too. You gave me this piece right here when I was moving to
Oh, yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah. Ernie. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that man is an inspiration. Joy, right? Play. I mean,
Yeah, you wrote from my brother who retaught me what skateboarding is all about with Love Mac
yeah.
2016. That was when I moved to Chicago. Yeah, I mean the honestly
Yeah.
the biggest thing that, you know, we used to do these art auctions, and your art is gonna be in our art auction. And it's like, honestly, I I really want to be able to use art as just conversation and to fuel the idea of creative self-expression for young people and a movement, right? Like I want your art, you know, all the artists that I admire to just like be in people's homes and for them to remember like,
Mhm.
oh, hey, this art means something more than just like something on your shelf or hanging in the wall, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's grounding, especially if you know most of it, someone made it, but often if you know who made it, or if you can have some provenance that isn't merely, Sotheby's-esque, but that provenance like moves through thought and connection and people,
Yeah.
that it can mean a lot. It can be really, I mean, one thing as an artist that I'm very lucky with, I'm a great art collection because I do a lot of trading, you know? So I have these wonderful pieces from some of it from people who have been in museums and some of them people who no one will ever know about, but they're other artists I've met through the building or through some situation. And it's just really nice because I take for granted that art and the art that's on my wall is stuff that I have like a absolute connection. There's not a piece in our house that is random, and that's in that capacity.
Dude,
And
can you
that's
tell, can you tell this
my,
story of, could you tell the story about, because again, I always tell this story, and I know we just talked about it when we attempted to do this podcast last time. Uh,
yeah.
the dumpster project. Can you just tell? This is
Sure.
like one of the most, whenever I think about, you know, my back being against the wall, like I think of this story.
Well, it's a story of partnership as well because did I do remember coming home. Ideas like that kind of hit me suddenly. Like I've written a couple plays and they're like, I'm going to write a play. And it's like, there isn't a lot of cognitive preamble to it. So the partnership aspect is my wife we made a decision many years ago that we were going to live a creative life. And we're we're going to be dedicated to figuring out what that meant. We knew it meant that there probably wasn't going to be a Sag Harbor home in our future. But what it meant was that, like, for each one of us, a creative impetus is something to take seriously. And so I remember coming home with this idea, and I remember Adriana being like, okay, like, because it was no small feat. What the background of the story was that 12 years ago, 13 now almost, I had to move out of my studio. We were losing our studio, the one near Brooklyn Circus on Nevin Street. And this was, I think, 2009, right? So this would have, no, I don't remember when it was. But anyway, I 2 kids, not a lot of money, and was losing my studio. And as you can see, I collect stuff. Like I have always collected and kept stuff, and all the stuff that I had at the time was ostensibly saved to use someday, right? That's the sort of weird, like, I'll use it in art someday. And I had all this stuff ranging from like interesting old pieces of wood to like Frida's first shoes and stuff. So I had to figure out what to do with all this stuff, because I had to downsize massively to a much smaller space, and I couldn't just throw it out, at least in the conventional way. So what I did was I came up with this idea and called the Dumpster Project, and I worked with someone who helped me procure a 30-yard dumpster, and then I found someone else who gave me a space to house it for several months, and I built basically a walk-in collage that ultimately is like a taxonomy of my existence through collected and saved objects. And then I numbered each piece, and I started a blog spot thing, and I wrote a little, in essence, eulogy of each. I photographed all around 500 objects. I photographed these 500 objects, posted them, wrote a little story about each one of them, and then used all of them as the raw material to create this walk-in collage. That those objects were like the centerpieces in this sort of collage world. And it toured around for a while. I mean, it was at the Dumbo Arts Festival initially, and then it actually ended up going into Miami during the Art Week, Art Basel Week with Pulse Art Fair. And then a curator saw it, and it was at the Ringling Museum in Florida. So it had a life, and it is now my former assistant, Pete Trieber, who made me my Stoked Award.
Yeah.
He's a farmer. He's a farmer, and he has a farm on Long Island, and it's in Long Island. The past few years I've been meaning to do this, but what we're going to do, we're putting it out to pasture now. We're taking the roof off and cutting holes. We're going to let the earth come up around it. So we're going to cut holes in it and plant things that can come and sort of consume it. So we're going to use its sort of vesseltude as a place to, I had saved all this stuff and then thrown it out. But when I threw it out, I did so, in name only, because I put it in a dumpster. So there's the sort of homage to getting rid of it, but getting rid of it in my particular way. But looking back in retrospect, I realized that I imbued those objects with so much power because they were so sentimental, but also like important to me. And you just can't hold on to shit. You cannot. It's only a matter of time, so I'm excited to revisit it, because it is like those things mean so much to me, but the meaning isn't gone. It's just the object. It's as simple as you can't bring it with you. And it's the simplest thing to say, but everyone learns it in their own way and own time.
For sure. What was your first Stoked memory, or your most memorable? Your most memorable.
So there's a few that popped to mind, but the very first thing that came to mind was years ago. Do you remember the bucket board when we did the bucket board?
Yeah.
So the backstory with that was the World Wildlife Fund contacted through, and Pentagram Design did this thing, and they contacted 15 artists from around the world to create something with an everyday use out of recycled or upcycled material. So I worked with this guy who I'd found while in Encinitas, California, vacationing with my dad and family. This guy, Don Sanford, makes these beautiful, he's a woodworker, and he makes gorgeous boards, all veneer, just Sanford shapes, glorious. And I bought Frida's first skateboard and found it in there. And then when this directive or this prompt came in, I contacted him. I said, could we make skateboards together? Could we figure out some way? And what we ended up doing was taking 5-gallon buckets, cutting the bottom off of the bucket, splaying it, and making a board that got a few of them here. Oh, a few left. Looks like this. So it's just a regular skateboard, but the bottom is a bucket, and every one of them is different. And then, so long story with this is, the whole idea is we'd sell one and give one away. and the place we gave them away was Stoked. I mean, I think we did a few with a couple other organizations, but I think through Stoked we gave away almost
I
500
think we got like
skateboards.
100 or
I think
200. Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah.
ultimate,
Yeah.
or maybe
A lot of kids
500 in
got
total, and Stoked was the majority of them or something. And yeah, we went to, I remember yeah, I mean, it was great. It was like the whole point. And when we went to, I had a job in LA and I flew there with a bunch of skateboards. And it was shortly after you opened up Stoked LA and started that. And so we had this session where I went to some parking lot where there was a Stoked event with all these kids after school. And everyone got a skateboard. I gave away all these skateboards to all these different kids and we put them together and stuff.
Perla.
And there was this one young woman, I think her name was Carla.
Perla.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she did her first,
Perla. Yeah,
what's
I remember it. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
her first ollie. That it was at Perla. It was our first ollie that day. Like it was like this high, but it's like I was hanging out, we just doing a bunch of stuff, put together a skateboard, oh this and whatever, just talking to a bunch of people. But like there was this 5-minute concentration where it was like, okay, so you drag your foot and you got to jump. It's like a pop, the thing you said a million times, and then she did it, and I was like, oh. Because it's like that's the gate, right? And then the world, that changes everything. That changes the whole perspective. And so that really sticks out to like,
Yeah.
It's a long-winded way of saying you've been 20 years. I don't know how many. I think 15 years we've been doing stuff together, and it's like quite literally the first thing that comes to mind is something.
What do you think
under a second?
I mean, raising teenagers now, right? Like,
And I was like, that's
what are you? What are your wishes and hopes in terms of sort of legacy, and what do you hope to pass on to the next generation of kids?
I definitely have learned more from them than I've taught them, my kids. I'm learning more from Atticus and Frida than I've imparted, or at least that's the way it feels. What I hope to impart to them is the abject and absolute freedom to be who they are and the responsibility to take that seriously. Because I'm an extremely liberal person in that, like, who you are is who you are, but I think that takes a lot more work.
It's not
than less work. It's not a matter of like, no, just go be free. It's like, sit down, hear this. In order to be free, you need to spend time knowing yourself, and then you got to put the work in.
Yep.
So that's what I hope. I hope that they are who they are, whatever that means. It's not, no, not at all. But I think that I want, my hope is that they are
like
aggressively independent,
they teach you way more than
ready for the work that takes.
Than you think.
So far, so good. They're fucking cool kids, I'm lucky, very lucky.
Yeah, kids definitely teach you more than I think you than you give them, But I think by showing up and being consistent, like I think kids learn more by your actions than the words that you sort of say, Cool.
It's also that thing where you never know where it's going to come from, like that little nugget, that little like major important thing. Like you remember them, like your dad said this once, and I probably the stuff that's the most important is not when they were on some hill making some proclamation. It was this tiny little moment they didn't even remember, maybe, You just never know. Consistency, I think, is a really
consistency. Yeah.
Now what you just said about consistency is everything. Sorry, what were you saying? You had.
Yeah. Well, just last thing is, can you give us a shout out for 20 years and just say your name and give us a shout out for 20 years.
When you say shout out, what do you mean? Like, we'll see how I feel. This is dope.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Where to even begin? Stoked 20 years. It feels both fast, like, a blink, but also like it's been here forever because it's doing things that last forever. And so here's to 20 more and 20 more after that. And here's to the eternality of the message.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely.
I look forward to seeing you on the 6th.
Yeah. Do I need to buy
maybe the link?
Do I need to do like go in and
I invited Ouija.
Okay.
But if I'd love for him to come, but tell him that you're coming and then give him a link. So if you talk to him. Okay.
I will. I'm in touch with him a lot these days. He's in Nigeria this week. Yeah. But he's coming back, and yeah,
In Dumbo.
I'll
in
try
Dumbo.
and get him out there, man. I would love
Dumbo
that. Would be
26
great.
Bridge.
Where is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's all on the website and shit, but where is it? Awesome. Cool.
Yep.
I'm gonna upload the artwork right now, so that you've got it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let me know when you.
And then I don't know. I'll follow the instructions through delivery, but
so that you can so that
hopefully
you can join
it brings some.
this. Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, I got to do that next week because I'm away the week like leading up to Thursday night. I'm with my mom that week, so I'll text you about it or email you about it.
See you,
But
man. Thank you so much.
it's all systems go, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
What I got? You see what I have?
All right, absolutely, Steve. See ya. What's
All
that?
right, man.
Oh yeah,
See
the
ya.
baseball. Nice. That's awesome. All right, brother. Love you. Talk to you soon.